and you'd anoint this gathered people for hearing, that the words of this mouth and the meditations of these collective hearts might be pleasing in thy sight, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. And everybody sang, amen. Everybody sang, amen. Everybody sang, amen. 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 God has spoken, amen. We now receive it, amen. May He open our eyes, amen. 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 I've suggested in a previous message in this series that this really is a story, at least the beginning of the saga of Joseph, about human trafficking. This is the second time Joseph has been sold. He was sold to a band of nomadic traders. You'll see that in chapter 37, verse 26, or 28 rather. And then he is sold to Potiphar. Wow. I wonder what it's like to be seen as a commodity, as a piece of meat. I must ask my forebears. I must ask Joseph. I must ask those being sold right now in Atlanta, through airports, at bus stations. Have mercy, Lord. There's a one-line phrase in this text that changes the entire trajectory of Joseph's life. If you're not careful, you'll miss it. It's in the first clause of verse 2 of our text. The Lord was with Joseph. Now don't miss that. God is in us, and that's good. God is for us. If God be for us, who can be against us? And that's good. God is in us. God is for us. But what Joseph needed was to know that God was with him. Did you see it? In fact, it is so important, it's stated 4 times in the 39th chapter of Genesis. Verse 2, the Lord was with Joseph, and he was a successful man. Verse 3, and his master saw that the Lord was with him. Verse 21, but the Lord was with Joseph and showed him mercy. Verse 23, the keeper of the prison did not look into anything that was under Joseph's authority because the Lord was with him. With him, with him. I love that phrase. I'm glad to know God is in me. I'm glad to know God is for me. But I'm mighty glad to know God is with me. That he will not leave me. In fact, we can go a long way if we know this is true. God is with us. You can have discord on the job, but if you know God is with you, you can make it through that discord. Amen. You can be estranged from your family members, and you can be having a difficult time relationally, but if you know God is with you, you can make it through that. You can suffer great financial loss, but if you know God is with you through that struggle, you can bounce back, you can recover. The presence of the eternal in Joseph's life was observed by Potiphar. Potiphar noted that God was with Joseph. Did you see it in the text? It's right in the text. I'm not making this up. The Lord was with Joseph. We got that from verse 2. And his master, his employer, his purchaser, his master saw that the Lord was with him. Oh, that's such a wonderful phrase. I want those who see me to see that the Lord is with me. Amen. be experienced by me, but I want those who watch me watch God at work. That's such a wonderful phrase. You'd miss it if you read it too quickly. The master saw that God was with him. Not only is Joe celebrating the fact that God is with him, but Potiphar is observing that the Lord is with him. And the text says that because of this presence of the eternal, Joseph knew success. I read a lot of motivational and business literature. I haven't read a lot of it in the last months. I'm just now at the point where I can get back to reading some of the things I want to read. I've been reading required reading for the last couple of years, actually. And I'm now reading a biography of Elon Musk, whose work I admire. He's quite a thinker, an inventor, engineer, entrepreneur. In much of this literature, I read about what success is, according to some of these very prosperous people. I recently read a piece titled, 9 Billionaires Share Their Definition of Success. This is in the Canadian version of Reader's Digest. Oprah Winfrey. The key is not to worry about being successful, but to instead work toward being significant. That was helpful. Donald Trump. Success is walking from failure to failure with no loss in enthusiasm. Steven Spielberg, filmmaker. I'm not really interested in making money. That's always come as the result of success, but it's not been my goal. I've always had a tough time proving that to people. John Paul DeJoria, who's the co-founder of Paul Mitchell Hair Products and the Patron Spirits Company. DeJoria says, success is how well you do what you do when no one is looking. Elon Musk, businessman, creator of the Tesla automobile. Let's just pause for a moment. Elon Musk says, the idea of lying on a beach as my main thing sounds horrible to me. I would go bonkers. I like high intensity. And that doesn't really define success, but tells you where he is. Bill Gates. Success is a lousy teacher. It seduces smart people into thinking they can't lose. Well, that's juicy. I have to read that one again. Bill Gates. Success is a lousy teacher. It seduces smart people into thinking they can't lose. Leonard Lauder, former CEO of Estee Lauder Company. Or Lauder, I guess it's pronounced. Estee Lauder, I don't wear it personally. This is what Leonard Lauder said. You're only as successful as the people who work for you want you to be. Richard Branson, founder of the Virgin Group. My definition of success, the more you're actively and practically engaged in your business, the more successful you will feel. Ted Turner, the last one. I've never run into a guy who couldn't win at the top level and didn't have the right attitude, didn't give it everything he had. I read that a half dozen times, and still there's something missing. Just the syntax is not right, but that's what he wrote. I have a definition of success that I go by. It is found in the first chapter of the book of Joshua. I think this is the biblical definition of success. The text only tells us that the Lord was with Joseph and he was a successful man. But what is success and how do you measure it? I want to remind you of a passage in Joshua. I use this as the definition of success. I was in my 20s, by the way. I heard a motivational cassette at that time. And the guy said, I measure my success by my income. And he said, I want to make $1,000 a year for every year I am old. This is in the 70s, but he said, when I am 30, I want to be making at least $30,000 a year. When I'm 50, I want to be making at least $50,000 a year, etc. And I used that as a benchmark to measure how I was doing financially, and I reached that goal. But I thought, boy, if this is the only thing you would measure success by, this is really scary. This is so shallow. It's just counting dollars. All right, so you're 70 years old, you make $70,000 a year, big deal. What are you going to do with it? And how significant are you going to be? That's the great question. Book of Joshua, chapter 1. I want to read verses 7 and 8, and then I'm going to give you what I believe is a biblical definition from this text. Joshua chapter 1. Only be strong and very courageous, that you may observe to do according to all the law which Moses my servant commanded you. This is God speaking to Joshua. Do not turn from it, that is the law, to the right hand or to the left, that you may prosper wherever you go. This book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate in it day and night, that you may observe to do according to all that is written in it. For then you will make your way prosperous, and then you will have good success. Here's the definition of success from the Bible. This is the definition I use to find out how I'm doing. Success is, according to this text, I'm just going to shrink it down. Success is a dedication to a declaration without deviation. If you like alliteration, you're welcome. This is for you. Success is a dedication to a declaration. That is what God has said, without deviation. God tells Joshua, as long as you stay in the law, what I've declared, and you don't deviate, you don't turn to the right or to the left, you'll be successful. Notice he never mentions income. He never mentions how big a business Joshua can build, how many chariots he might have, how many horses. No, success for you, Josh, is a dedication to a declaration, my law, without deviation. The text that we're looking at this day says that Joseph was a success. The Lord was with him, and he was successful. And when success is achieved, one of my questions would be, what are your options regarding it? All right, so you've reached a level of success, however you measure it, whatever metric you use, you're successful. Right, what do you do with it? Well, you could flaunt it. Some people, when they get successful, especially materially, the only thing they want to do is show you that they're successful. So they buy custom cars, and they buy property, and they buy maybe their own island, and they give money away, and they live an ostentatious lifestyle because they want you to know they're successful. I think of rappers and other people in the entertainment industry, and I always think, you know, you're not going to have a #1 recording all your life. And they're not going to pay you $20 million a film always. Soon you're going to be a has-been. I hope you're saving your money, not just putting gold rims on your Escalade or something. You need to have some money at the end. I know you're showing us now you're successful, but bling won't keep you warm when you're in your 70s and 80s. Be smart now. I know right now you're just concentrating on being flashy, but be smart. But one option is you could simply flaunt your success. You could replicate it in the lives of others. You could actually help other people to become successful. And I greatly admire entrepreneurs who help other entrepreneurs. I greatly admire people who say, let me show you how I did this. I'd be happy to pass on what I've learned. I greatly admire those who mentor others so that, again, using whatever metric they use, they try to replicate that success. I greatly admire that. Here's an option that Joseph exercised. You could serve with and through your success. This is a little different. I don't know that most of us think this way, but Joseph found favor in his employer's eyes, in his master's eyes, in his owner's eyes. Potiphar bought him, and Joseph became successful and then served Potiphar. Wow. I don't know that I'm there yet. Are we reading this correctly? His master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord made all that Joseph did prosper. So Joseph found favor in his sight, that is, in Potiphar's sight. Verse 4, and served him. There are some of us, maybe not in this room, but there's some who would say, the Lord is with me, and the Lord is my master. I don't have to serve you at all, Mr. Potiphar, Mr. P. Joseph